All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling the soul. Now, I can already feel some of you shifting in your seats. The word soul, especially if you're coming from a hard sciences background, probably sounds, well, a little unscientific, right? Kind of like something out of a ghost story. But what if I told you there's an incredibly logical, rigorous way to think about it? A way that doesn't involve spooky stuff at all, but sees the soul as a core principle of life itself. That's the world of Thomas Aquinas, and that's where we're headed. So let's just put it out there. What is a soul? Seriously, when you hear that word, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, I bet it's some kind of glowing, see-through version of ourselves that's kind of trapped inside our bodies, waiting to float away. You know, the classic ghost in the machine. And right here, this is the first big hurdle we have to get over. That popular ghost in the machine idea, it's pretty much the exact opposite of what Aquinas is talking about. For him, the soul isn't a separate driver living inside a body. No, the soul is the very form of the body. And figuring out what he means by form is the key to unlocking this whole thing. So first things first, we've got to expand our thinking. For Aquinas, souls aren't just a human thing. The Latin word he uses is anima, and it basically just means the principle of life. It's the animator. It's whatever makes a thing alive, rather than just a pile of chemicals and minerals. He actually organizes this idea into a kind of hierarchy, like a ladder of life. So way down at the bottom, you've got plants. They have what he calls a nutritive soul. All it does is handle the basics: growth, nutrition, staying alive. Then you take a step up. Animals have a sensitive soul, which does all that plant stuff, but adds the ability to sense the world, to feel, and to move around. And then at the top, you have us. We have a rational soul, which has all those lower powers, but with a massive upgrade: the power of reason. And this isn't just me saying it. Aquinas lays this out pretty clearly himself. He's just looking at the world around him and classifying things based on what they can do. It's almost like a philosophical biology. And he notices that the thing that really, truly separates humans from every other living thing is our ability to think, to reason. So this is what it all hinges on: the human difference. This ability to reason isn't just one more cool feature, like a bird having wings. For Aquinas, it points to something completely different about the very nature of the human soul. The intellect changes the entire game. Now, to get this, we have to talk about something called universals. A universal is just a concept that isn't physical. Think about it. You can see me, you can see your classmates, you can point to lots of individual humans. But can you point to humanity itself? No, right? It's an abstract idea. Same thing with concepts like justice, or truth, or even a perfect circle. They're real concepts, but they aren't physical objects. And here's the kicker. Your mind, your intellect, can grasp these non-physical things. It performs an action that goes beyond the purely physical world. I mean, your brain is a physical organ, sure, but the idea of justice that it's thinking about, that's not physical at all. So, this leads to the next logical jump. If the act of understanding is immaterial, then the thing doing the understanding, the intellect itself, has to be immaterial too. The basic principle here is that something purely physical can't do something purely non-physical. You can't weigh justice on a scale. And this is the core of his argument for why the soul is immortal. Follow the steps. The intellect is a power of the soul. The intellect is immaterial. Therefore, the soul itself must have an immaterial nature. And because it's not made of physical stuff, it can't break down, it can't rot, it can't fall apart like a body can. The technical term for this is subsistent. It just means it can exist on its own. Okay, hold on a second. If the soul can exist on its own, aren't we right back where we started with the whole ghost in the machine thing? That's a great question. And Aquinas would say, absolutely not. This is where he introduces a really important idea, and it has a fancy name: hylomorphism. Don't let the word scare you, though. It's just a mashup of the Greek words for matter, that's hyl, and form, morphe. All it's really talking about is a profound, inseparable unity. Aquinas is super clear on this. He says the soul is not like a pilot in a ship. I mean, a pilot and a ship, they're two totally separate things that just happen to be working together for a bit. You can have a ship without a pilot and a pilot without a ship. For Aquinas, the soul-body connection is way, way deeper than that. Think of it this way. The soul is the substantial form. It's the blueprint, the organizing principle, the thing that takes a bunch of matter, atoms, molecules, flesh, and bone, and makes it into one single, living, unified human being. Without the soul, you don't have a body waiting for a soul to show up. You just have a corpse. The organizing principle is gone.
This idea is so fundamental that it even got locked in as a formal definition later on. The soul isn't just connected to the body, it is what makes that lump of matter a human body. Which means that for Aquinas, the real you isn't just your soul, and it isn't just your body. The real you, the complete human person, is the combination of the two.
And this leads to a really interesting kind of paradoxical idea. Even though the soul can survive the death of the body because it's immaterial, that's not its natural state. It's not how it's supposed to be. Its entire purpose, its very nature, is to be the form of a body. So a soul that's separated from its body is in a way incomplete. It's waiting to be reunited, to be a whole person again. So let's recap where we are. We have this idea of a human soul as an immaterial, subsistent form that is naturally meant to be united to a body. This leads us to one last, really big question. Where does something like that come from? Well, the logic just follows right along from everything we've already said. If the soul is immaterial, it can't be created by a material process. Think about it. Your parents, through a totally physical, biological process, create the matter that will become your body. But that physical act can't just spit out a non-physical, rational soul. So Aquinas' conclusion is that the only possible source for an immaterial soul is a direct, creative act of God. Each individual human soul is a brand new creation, made from nothing and then infused into the developing body. That's the moment for him that a collection of matter becomes a true, living human person. Okay, let's just pull all the key pieces of this amazing theory together. The soul is hylomorphic. It's the form, the blueprint that makes a body a living human thing. It's subsistent and immortal. Because its highest power, the intellect, can do immaterial things, the soul itself isn't tied to physical decay. And finally, because it is immaterial, it can't come from a material process, so it must be divinely created by God for each person. And that leaves us with this huge kind of mind-bending question to chew on. If our natural state, the right way for us to be, is this soul and body package deal, and the soul is the blueprint for the body, then what on earth is a soul doing all by itself after death? What does it even mean for you to exist in that state when you're technically incomplete? It's this wild tension that really gets to the heart of what Aquinas is trying to figure out.